We have Angel lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Come on, Jim. You guys can come in here and we have to see your first up so that I know you got a lot of things to do.
Go home. That's a good thing.
Okay.
You want to spend time with us?
We have, oh, I forgot, John, you got a prayer for us?
I can make one up.
In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, all glory and honor goes to you. We praise you for the times that we've fallen short and didn't live up to your expectations, for the times that we've sinned against you. We ask for your forgiveness, and we will try to do better in the future with your help. We thank you for this beautiful community that we live in, this country, this town, this township, this county. We thank you for all the patriots that came before us that helped create this country, and help us to discern what your will is for us at this meeting. Help us to understand the different points of view and come up with the best solution for our township and our village and county. And all these things we ask through your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, the clerk will call the roll.
Benelmo?
Here.
Mike Benelmo? Angel Shake? Here.
Just look at the face.
Oh, yeah. Mark Garwin?
Here.
Rob Rivera?
Here.
Roll call. Okay.
We got a quorum.
We got a quorum.
Okay, we have a special guest speaker, Jim Glasgow, and he's going to talk about the Safety Act, which is anything but a safety act. It should be called the Crime Letter Outer Bill, so that we get murderers and rapists and everybody else let in the street. So everyone really needs to pay close attention to Mr. Glasgow, because we're going to read a resolution at the end that we want to pass and send to the governor and all the state reps and state senators.
Can we have
So-
Jim stand over here?
Pardon me?
Can we have Jim stand over here?
We can do that. Jim's our state's attorney. I didn't say that.
I'll pretend there's a podium. Yeah, this is unfortunately something I never thought I'd encounter in my 40-year career, that the legislature would pass a law that would give us the weakest criminal law in the country when we're dealing with a city like Chicago, which is the most violent city in the country. And if you want to know what the state's going to look like after this law goes into effect, just look at Chicago. And Bob Berlin and I joke that we have a Maginot Line. He has one between DuPage and Cook, and I've got one here. We've had incursions from gang members from Chicago. Well, 90% of them are in the Will County Jail on high bonds, looking to be tried and then follow up with a sentence. In Chicago, 2,300 people are on ankle bracelets. I've got 630 in the Will County Jail, 2,300 on ankle bracelets, 75% of them violent. And I don't know if anybody saw the shooting in the Bolingbrook warehouse. There was one person killed, 2 people shot. That happened the day after somebody in Chicago on an ankle bracelet for murder. There's over 100 of those. Tracked down the eyewitness that witnessed his murder and murdered him. The next day, we have the shooting in Bolingbrook. Police do an excellent job. The offender is in the Will County Jail on a $5 million bond. So what does that do? What is bail for? Bail is to protect the public and the victims, witnesses, and to guarantee the appearance of the offender. That's going to be turned on its head if this bill goes into effect. Now, I'm very confident. I'm working on something that I'm hoping will bear fruit and stop it. I'll start with the thought that the Illinois Constitution guarantees that all persons shall be bailable. Well, that's in the Constitution. Now, you remember the variable tax rate bill that they tried to get through? Well, they had to get a 3/5 vote in both the House and the Senate, and then put it on the ballot for us. And we were smart enough to realize that was a boondoggle, especially in light of what just happened in Washington. But there's no way that the votes are there to do that with the bail. This bill passed narrowly, and it passed in a 2-day cram session called the lame duck session, and it couldn't have been done if it wasn't for our wonderful friend Michael Madigan, because he had to okay that. So legislators had an 800-page bill dumped on their desk. Okay, figure it out. And it was covering all different subject areas. But the bottom line is, we're guaranteed the bail through our Constitution, both at the federal and state level. And so, when this thing was discussed, nobody mentioned what's going to happen to all the people in the jails. We have over 600 in our jail. DuPage, Lake, Kane, all have similar. So we're talking 4,000 to 5,000 people, and then I don't know how many are in the Cook County Jail because there's so many, 2,300 on ankle bracelets. There may not be anybody in there. So, but the bottom line is, that's just the beginning. And then once the inmates are out, we have about a third of them that we can potentially ask for a hearing to detain them for no more than 90 days. If they demand trial, they have to be tried in 90 days. Now, that's the thing I'm going to be talking about, because speedy trial is 120, but this is a get out of jail 90 days. So every defendant, if this were to go into effect, would demand speedy trial on day one. Now, my office, all of my attorneys have over 100 open files. They continuously have over 100 felony files that they were working on. So if they were put under the gun, they had to start getting all these cases ready in 90 days. We couldn't do it. Plus, the crime lab doesn't turn things around in 90 days. We just tried an outlaw. He sat in jail for 5 years. Now, that wasn't our doing. He asked for continuances. A lot of times they'll do that for a number of strategic reasons. But this will change everything, where they've got nothing to lose by demanding trial on day one, because I got to scramble like a maniac trying to get it ready. And if I announce ready on the 90th day, all they got to do is say, Judge, we want a continuance. And then I just wasted 3 months running my brains out trying to get ready for trial, and now it's continued for how long, right? And then there's more cases that I'm getting hit with. So the bill defies common sense, and I can't even imagine the mindset that conceived this. It'll make it even worse in the city of Chicago than it is now. And let's look at the city of Chicago. New York has 3.25% more people than Chicago. Chicago last year had 485 murders. New York had 485 murders. Chicago had 800. And carjackings, New York had 511 for 8.8 million people. Chicago had 1,800 for 2.7 million people. Now that, we all think of New York as this ominous place, and we hear about these horrible things that happen on the subway, but they've got 8.8 million people and they have a fraction of the crime. So as bad as they say it is in New York, it's triple bad in Chicago. And this is only going to get worse. Now, when I mentioned the Maginot Line, every time we've got flock cameras. You've all heard of flock cameras? Yes. These things are truly amazing. And I've been using my drug forfeiture money to go out and try to help different agencies or cities, municipalities, whatever, to add flock cameras. And I've encouraged businesses to partner. That way we're drawing in the private sector to help protect ourselves. And then the businesses make their community safer, they make more money. It's a no-brainer. We just put in a camera out at Lewis University, and the day before there was a crime committed in Stager, and they caught the guy in the parking lot at Lewis with the flock camera. That's pretty crazy. The complete other side of the county. So this, the one thing I wanted to is, this isn't a political issue. Bob Berlin and I were on the radio on Friday with 580 or 560, and with Dan Proft, because when you start getting partisan on something like this, you lose credibility, you lose traction. This is for the good of every single man, woman, and child in this state of Illinois. And Lori Lightfoot, on June 6th, for the first time, she broke ranks with the rest of the people up there. And you need to hear this. She talks about the residents in her community are also entitled to safety from dangerous people. She said the powers that be need to keep pressuring criminal court judges to lock up dangerous, violent people and not put them out on bail or electronic monitoring back into the very same communities where the brave souls who are mustering the courage to come forward and say, this is the person who is responsible. Now, the biggest problem that Chicago has with their violence is that in the black communities where the gangs are wreaking havoc, they only solve 20% of the murders. Why is that? Because people are terrified to come forward. They know they can't come forward. And so that's not the case in Will County now. But if I can't lock up the violent offenders, we'll have the same situation here. And then what will that lead to? That when criminals realize there's no boundaries, they get more brazen, they do even more crimes. And those people that tested the waters coming down here, we had a carjacking in Frankfurt. The 4 offenders are in the Will County Jail on a $1 million plus bond. We had a shooting in a subdivision near Wedgewood Golf Course with ghost guns. Both individuals are in the Will County Jail, been there since the shooting, and they'll be tried and processed. Every case that we've been involved in, and my favorite is the one we just won a motion on. There was a carjacking on Diversity Parkway in Chicago. The knucklehead did a U-turn and fled into Shorewood. We put out the tax strips, stopped the car, and he's in the Will County Jail on a $1 million bond. And the judge denied the motion to transfer it back to Chicago, where what would have happened if that had gone through? He'd be back out on the street carjacking. So, but this is so telling because Lori Lightfoot is part of the total Democratic machine that runs that area. She said this, letting these people out, that undermines safety. It tells the victims that there's no justice for them, and it undermines the legitimacy of the criminal courts. If we hold violent, dangerous people accountable, we will see a significant drop in the violence in our cities. But when you've got somebody who's accused of murder, attempt murder, rape, kidnapping, carjacking, as is now, these people are walking the streets right now today in our communities because our criminal courts are not doing their jobs and taking into consideration the danger to the community. When somebody has a rap sheet as long as my arm and commits another act of violence, they are a danger to the community by definition and should be held pre-trial. And I'll be talking to you about the fact that the rap sheet doesn't mean anything under this new law. No one is going to feel safe as long as those folks are back out on the street 24, 48 hours later after they go through the bond court. It's madness, and we know it is. She also talks about the fact that when individuals know that they aren't going to be held accountable, they become more bold and more brazen. Sorry. In this new statute, they codify 6 different types of crimes where we can actually ask the court to detain. The first one is a forcible felony with a mandatory prison sentence. And then but the last prong is we have to prove that they're a danger to a specific identifiable person. Well, when you murder somebody, that may be the only person that you're being a threat to. So the ultimate irony would be they would get out because of that. And then you do the flip side, on an attempt murder, the person you were attempting to murder didn't die, they're still alive, so we will fulfill that requirement. This law is full of nonsensical situations like that. Nonsensical shouldn't really be the word because of the danger involved, but this is what we're looking at. Then the next section deals with domestic battery. Well, domestic and aggravated domestic battery, but domestic battery is only a misdemeanor. So you could wind up detaining somebody on a misdemeanor, domestic battery, and someone who commits murder gets out. Again, that's disproportionate punishment. That could be a constitutional issue also. Orders of protection is another section. Stalking is another section, and we understand those types of cases. Then the gun crimes, and they list all the gun crimes, but then again, they come back to, we have to prove that the person's a danger to a specific identifiable person, which we will fail to do in many of these cases, and these gun crime individuals, which are the most dangerous in our society, will be continuously getting out. Then there's sex crimes, and they pretty much list the bulk of the sex crimes that we would expect. Now, in all of these cases, we have to bring a petition, and the longest that, like I said, that they can be held if they demand trial is only 90 days. Now, here's the kicker. When they get out, and they don't come back for their next court date, we can't get a warrant. All we can get is what's called a rule to show cause, which is a civil piece of paper that says, pretty please, will you come to court? Now, I can tell you the actual implementation here. The police aren't going to serve these. When a police officer is going after a violent offender with a warrant, he's cloaked in qualified immunity, he's got probable cause, and he can bring the SWAT team with him, and he can enter the house by force. If he's got this silly rule to show cause, he'll be going, Mr. Murder, would you please open the door? It's that ridiculous. And I work with the police, and they put their lives on the line every day for us. And I've had the immense privilege since 1992 of reviewing nearly every use of deadly force case by the police in this county. And I've not yet encountered one where the officers exceeded their lawful authority. In fact, in most cases, the police hesitate at the first opportunity to shoot and don't, because they're compassionate human beings and they don't want to have to shoot someone. So again, that's not what you see on TV. Will County is pretty much of a cross-section of the United States. Look at Homer Glen. You've got these gorgeous homes. You have a cross-section of the United States right here in Homer Glen. So it's not like we're an anomaly. So if that's the way the police are behaving here, it's the way they're behaving in most of the areas of this country. They take one case, one ridiculous case, broadcast it nationwide like it's going on everywhere, and it's not. It's an anomaly. This bill is a product of one of those cases. So that particular part will be literally the demise of our criminal justice system. Now let's look at the forcible felonies that are not mandatory prison, that I can't even bring a petition to detain. Burglary, robbery, vehicular hijacking, arson, forgery, kidnapping, criminal damage to property, second-degree murder, intimidation, hate crimes, aggravated battery, aggravated DUI, aggravated fleeing and eluding, drug offenses. If I arrest somebody with enough fentanyl to kill every citizen of the United States of America, and that could happen. 2 milligrams will kill you. And I just pled somebody for 20 years on a fentanyl possession case. That person, from the time of arrest to the plea for 20 years, never set foot outside the jail. Because otherwise, if he's dealing heroin, every time he deals heroin or fentanyl or any combination thereof, every one of us is at risk. So I got Narcan for our drug dogs, because if they get it on their nose, it can kill them. So this is obviously not the kind of situation that any of us in this room ever thought we would be faced with. And then you add into the fact that without any attempt to detain them, they'll be given another court date, and if they don't show up, we can't get a warrant. Now we go to misdemeanors. Class B misdemeanors, Class C misdemeanors. Criminal trespass to land, that's something that recurs a lot for us, right, in our community. The police can't arrest. I don't know what they were thinking here, okay? So, and then it says, upon proper presentment of an ID, the officer is supposed to write out a summons for 21 days down the road. Well, then the officer leaves, the guy comes right back. You call, he comes out. Sir, you gotta leave. I mean, it'll be like Chinese, what do they call it? The chairs when you, yeah, I mean, it's ludicrous, but think about how, once the people who like to break the law find out that nothing can happen to them, the numbers will grow. The Targets, the Walmarts, they'll let people all over the place, and they won't be able to do anything about it. Disorderly conduct, the same way. They can't be arrested. The only way to stop disorderly conduct and trespassing many times is through an arrest. This stuff, I've been looking at it, and to the point, over the weekend, I was reading the one section about how you do revocations and other things, and it's just, it's so poorly written. One thing you can't have in a criminal statute is ambiguity, or not knowing what exactly they're referring to when they're using a term, and it's just replete throughout this entire statute. So, you know, the other thing is there's two sections where it says that simple failure to appear cured by an appearance cannot be used against the individual. So the person could not show up for court, there's a rule of show cause, and then they show up, and then they don't show up, and you get a rule of show cause, and they show up, and that could go on ad infinitum, and the judge is not allowed to use that to lock them up, which is clearly a violation of separation of powers. The legislature can't tell judges not to do their jobs and not to use their discretion. So, again, like I said, I'm working very hard to make sure that this doesn't get implemented. Like I said, I've been doing this since 1982. And I forgot to give this example. When Drew Peterson solicited a gangster disciple to murder me when he was in prison, if he had been out on the street, a free man, and done that, under this new law, he couldn't have been detained. Now, my family was my kids were little, my wife was very afraid. We had a couple of weird incidents where it sounded like a gunshot. The fire pit in the back fell over and broke, and my son came in, I just heard a gunshot! And my wife went crazy, and I looked out the window and I saw it was broken. And I said, calm down everybody, it's just the fire pit. My wife goes, maybe the hitman knocked it over. Okay, the paranoia. But the bottom line is, this is serious business, and we have to do everything when we write our laws, when we enforce our laws, to do everything we can to protect the safety of the law-abiding citizens in the community. And this is just something that I never thought I would see, but the way it was done, and I mentioned Madigan again, I mean, because really, as bad as some of the intent here, it could not have happened without him. He did not have to grant that lame duck session. He was trying to keep his power, and he lost it. And now look what he's left as a vestige to the rest of us. These criminal charges against him are nothing compared to what will happen if this law goes into effect. So all I can tell you is I'm working very hard on the constitutional aspect of it, and it's my intent that this not go into effect. So if anybody has any questions,
Jim?
yes.
When we're talking, I think everybody would want to know about the ankle bracelets, with the 48 hours. I think that's pretty important for people to understand, because that's scary to a lot of people.
Well, there's a provision in the law that when there's an alert that the ankle bracelet has been tampered with, they have to wait 48 hours before they can declare it as an escape. So let's make sure you can make the Mexican border. Of course, he'll be going the wrong way.
Oh, they won't try that.
Yeah.
What could we do? Email people, write letters? I mean, where can we go?
Yeah, I mean that, and when people are running for office, anybody that's up for election in November should be pledging that they will vote to repeal this bill. Now, unfortunately, I think timing-wise, there'll be a little bit of a lag, but if it's clear that everybody's coming in looking to do that, hopefully something can be done to stop the implementation. Some people have been trying to kick back the start until July of next year to buy a little more time. I think that's just delaying the inevitable. But again, hopefully I can be successful in what I'm working on right now, and it's going to require, though, the judiciary to do their job too. And we've got good judges in Will County. They set these high bonds, and they're legitimate high bonds based on, it's a balancing test, how violent the offender is. And that's the thing, I forgot to mention the rap sheet on all of these detention things. Whether or not they can be detained or not isn't based on how dangerous they are anymore. It's whether you fit into the little pigeonholes that they put in the statute. So you can have a guy that just gets out of prison for murder and does one of those forcible felonies that's not detainable. He's not detainable. I mean, right now we use common sense and we look, this is a really dangerous guy. We need a higher bond on this than we would normally get. not gonna happen. There is no bond. So, like I said, the US Constitution guarantees it, the Illinois Constitution guarantees it. They don't have the legal authority to do what they did. So,
I'm gonna go, who is publicly endorsing this? That's an elected official right now that you know of, bringing back your position.
well, I'm not sure. Obviously, there's Chicago people, or Chicago elected officials that are doing it. And the irony there is, they're slitting their own throats.
Sure.
My God, you unleash the beast up there more than they've already done? I mean, look what just happened in Morris.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Of all places.
And they have eviscerated my ability to deal with juveniles. They have just cut my hands off. We can't even talk to a juvenile anymore until they get an attorney. You can't, one of the standard tactics of a good detective is, we got your fingerprints all over the all over the murder weapon. Okay, the officer doesn't know that for sure, but he says that just to see where it'll go. Now, we don't trick people into confessions that we can't corroborate. In other words, when someone confesses, we have to corroborate everything that he or she has confessed to with independent evidence. So if the officer is telling something that's fabricated and the guy admits to it and it turns out it's not the case, then it's meaningless. But many times when defendants think you've got them cornered, they'll try and make excuses or rationalize and make up a story, but they'll put enough elements in there. We can't even talk to the juveniles anymore. And this whole concept that they're too young to know what they did. I mean, the savagery of what happened in Morris with the child present. I don't care how old the person is at that point. I mean, the crime is so vile. The person that did that is a very dangerous person to each and every one of us. And to just say, oh, well, the prefrontal cortex hasn't quite formed yet. Okay? That's okay in a lot of crimes, and I'll sit down with anybody. If you want to talk about non-violent property crimes and recog bonds for those kind of cases, we don't need to clog our jails with those people. But there are so many other types of crimes, especially the drug crimes, which are not provided for this time around. Those drug dealers that are dealing fentanyl, they're as dangerous as any murderer. Because every time they sell their product, 2 milligrams will kill you. And these young kids that thought they were entrepreneurs, they were selling pills on the internet, and they would put maybe only 1 milligram of fentanyl in each pill, but they didn't warn the people buying it to only take 1 pill. Because if you take 2 or 3, it'll kill you. And so that's been happening all over the place. And China is dumping fentanyl in here at a rate like we've never seen. People in Homer Glen have common sense. It's good to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And maybe I can pitch in and get you a podium. Yes.
I had 1,000 people look at your last video. You could send that link out to the village presidents, they could put it on their local TV station.
Okay.
You got a place I could send it? Email?
Yeah. Lisa, you have a card?
I don't, I'm sorry, but I will,
We
can
know
I
who he
email
is.
you tomorrow?
Yeah, when I get a copy of the video, I'll make sure you guys get a copy of it.
Sorry.
And I'll be putting it up all over like I've done the other stuff.
Steve,
So,
I would make it a special one, just on his
Well-
section.
yes,
Then I combine it with the other one.
that's perfect.
The response that every time I do this, or somebody, they ask the other side, he's a fearmonger. He's a dog whistle. Well, I love dogs. I got 4 dogs, and that's a compliment.
Jim, I'll be talking about this
Thank
to
you.
the county board too, again. So,
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
God bless you guys. Okay, we'll move on to public comment, which there are no public comments, so we can skip that part. And then we have the clerk's report. Vicki is not here. Our administrator, Patty, is gonna do that.
Motion to approve July 11, 2022 monthly township board meeting minutes.
No motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, now we go to my report. Motion to approve the American Legion Oliveri Post 2011 located at Marion Village at 15624 Marion Drive in Homer Glen, Illinois 60491 as the official American Legion post of Homer Township. Lou is the commander of that post, and he called me today and said that they have their meetings the exact same day we have it and the exact same time, so he couldn't come. But he asked me to let everybody know that we are actually going to partner with them on this stuff. So they've talked to our administrator today, and we've got information going up on the website. So whenever they're having an event or something, it'll be on our website. And anybody that wants to join up with them, there'll be information how to do that. So our goal here at the township is help them grow their numbers. He said that's their biggest problem, getting the vets to know they're there and to grow the Legion there. So we're going to do our best to do that. And other than that, he just says to tell everybody thank you very much, and that Legion very much appreciates it. So the next one, that was a motion to approve. We approved it last time. So, well, let's do it again just for the heck of it. Get a motion to
I'll start the
approve that.
motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I motion to approve resolution number HT 2022-08-08 RES-1, a resolution adopting revised purchasing and accounts payable policy and procedure for Homer Township. Well, you guys had that in your packet, and it's the same thing as we approved before, but we're doing it again for this year. So the only difference was you want to explain it?
Yeah, sure, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but our office helped put this together because there was a change in the statute. The bidding threshold for contracts went up to $30,000, so the resolution makes that formal change to your existing policy, so you're in compliance with state law. That was basically it. So
Okay, so we need to get a roll call vote on that?
we had motion and second first. Was there
Oh, yeah,
a
motion,
Okay, I'll start the motion.
I'll second.
and then roll call?
Noah,
Yes.
Garwin, Mark Garwin.
Yes.
And Robert Vera,
Yes.
And then I'm a yes.
and Steve, yes, okay.
So that motion carries. Motion to approve resolution. I don't know what's wrong with my mouth today, it's not working right. Motion to approve resolution number HT 2022-0808 RES-2 against the Safe-T Act, that's Illinois Safety and Accountability, Fairness and Equity Today Act, and to send the governor and state representatives a copy of the resolution. And I'll read the resolution. Oh, there, you got it. Okay, the resolution says, whereas Homer Township Board recognizes the extreme harm to the safety of our community with this outrageous act signed by Governor Pritzker. Mr. Glasgow didn't mention that, but JB signed this into effect and didn't get any Republican votes. It was all done by the Democrats. Just so everybody knows, who's in favor of public safety? Sure ain't JB Pritzker, and any of them are rotten idiots that pass something like this. Next, whereas the Safety Act is not bringing any safety and in fact will make every community in Illinois, including Homer Township, extremely unsafe. I think you've heard enough from Mr. Glasgow. Whereas this act puts new standards on law enforcement that prevents them from doing their sworn job to serve and protect to the best of their ability. And whereas under this act, burglary, robbery, arson, kidnapping, second-degree murder, intimidation, aggravated battery, aggravated DUI, aggravated fleeing and eluding, drug offenses, drug-induced homicide, and threatening a public official are non-detainable offenses. So you can kill somebody in a second-degree murder, you don't go to jail. You can kidnap some poor kid and you don't go to jail. So this is really nuts. Whereas the burden of proof is now changed to clear and convincing instead of reasonable doubt. Clear and convincing is a lesser degree. Beyond a reasonable doubt means absolutely no chance. Clear and convincing is tell me what you think, and if I agree, it's okay. So that's another stupid thing. Whereas monetary bail is no longer going to be required. Whereas not showing up for court is not proof. The offender won't show up in the future, so no warrant can be issued. Instead, police have 48 hours to serve a notice to appear in court, which is a civil process. Not a warrant, and allows substantially less enforcement by police. And you heard him talk about that a little while ago. Whereas offenders in jail do not get a trial within 90 days, must be released from jail. These cases, because of evidence and the number of cases, make it highly probable that jails will be empty as much as 2/3 of the jail population. And whereas breaking an ankle bracelet cannot be considered an escape for up to 48 hours. Therefore, be it resolved that we, the Homer Township Board, state that we are appalled at this act, which clearly makes our communities unsafe, and will send a copy of this resolution to the representatives of the state of Illinois and the governor. So I need a motion to approve this one.
I'll motion. I'll second.
A roll call?
Mike Pinello,
Yes.
Mark Irwin,
Yes.
Rob Rivera,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, we have two other motions about committees, and we're going to come back next month with some more names, because I was told there were some people that we missed. We missed the Kerfins, Ed and Michelle. They're not on there. Motion to approve the Senior Expo Committee. Mike Bonomo as chair, Cindy Laha as co-chair, Rose Renders, Jay Rhodey, Christina Clausen, Mark Garwin, Angel Shake, Sherry Laha, Sue Silent, Linda Cohen, and Yvonne Chetnik. So I get a motion to approve those people.
Is this a question, Steve? Can we amend this to add those two names so it's complete for this session?
Can we amend it? Or?
I think it's descriptive enough on the agenda that you could add them. It's related, so
Okay.
if you want to do it now, you have two names to add to the motion.
I'd like to,
The Kerfins.
Yeah,
Add the
and
Kerfins?
Michelle Kerfin. Yes.
okay.
Do we have to approve the amendment?
So it's Michelle and Ed Kerfin.
As long as there's no objection, I think you can consider it part of the original
Michelle
motion.
and
There was no
Kerfin.
second yet, so.
Make it official, yeah.
Yeah, the attorney said, we have advice that if we can do that.
The topic matter is sufficiently specific on the agenda that I think adding two names doesn't alter.
And so on the next one will be the exact same thing. I'll be saying their names first so I don't forget. But motion to approve the senior committee, which is different than the senior expo. The expo is going to take place September 12th.
September 10th.
10th, and Mike will be talking about that in his report. So the senior committee, motion to approve that committee, Mike Bonomo is the chair, Cindy Laha is co-chair, Robert Vera, Vicky Bozen, Patty Colmar, Linda Cohen, Stu Silent, Angel Shake, Yvonne Chetnik, Mark Garwin, Christine Clausen, Jay Rhodey, Rose Renders, and that's it. And we didn't
have a second or vote on the first
Yeah, we
proposed
did.
motion.
Well, Mark was the first.
I thought-
No.
I asked a question. Do we
No, we
have-
didn't.
Oh, sorry.
He asked
I
the
thought
question
we-
to add two names, or
Oh,
propose
okay, then we
adding
gotta
two
vote on
names.
Yeah, let's vote
So
on
why
it.
don't-
So we're motioning on the in addition to the two names, correct?
So
Correct, why don't we
let's,
do them separate? one at a time, right?
let's motion on the first one for the senior expo.
I'll probably start that motion
Okay.
I'll second.
With the amendments.
with the
Okay.
amendments
With the
added to the
amendment.
motion.
That's with Kerfins on there.
Yes.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And then motion for the senior committee with the Kerpens on there also. Do I get a motion?
I'll start the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
You're all good.
Motion to approve Steve Ballard as supervisor on all the committees. There's more than one. Do I get a
I
motion?
will proudly say, I will start the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, now we have the Highway Commissioner, Brent Porfilio's report.
Hello, everybody. Hallelujah, the Union of Operating Engineers strike is over. It ended on July 26th. Thank God for that, because it was putting a stoppage on labor and materials from all the large local quarries. It was freezing asphalt, it was freezing stone, it was freezing concrete materials, which was holding up a lot of projects in the area. So that's over, which is a good thing, which helps us as well. So item B, the facility build-out update. We have a number of items that we ordered that still have not come in yet. And also we ran into a couple of delays because of the strike. So we're looking at a September instead of August completion date for the build-out inside the building. As far as the outdoor stuff, the paving, the concrete paving on the access road and the turnaround in front of the building, the base is done, the bars are down, the mesh is down. The problem was we got rain. Otherwise, we would have been pouring the concrete today. So we're going to probably have to wait another week to pave the concrete because of the saturated base. Item C, the 2022 roadway program up in Forest Manor, that is complete. They did a great job, Austin Tyler up there. They completed it in only a few weeks. So we're looking to have a punch list walkthrough either this week or next week to release the final 10% to them that's in retainage. Item D, the Farrell Road improvements. I don't know if you've noticed, but now they're milling north of 159th Street finally. Now that the strike is over, the asphalt is available again. Typically speaking, it's about a week between when you mill and they start paving. So next week they should be paving everything from 159th Street up to 151st Street. Most of you would probably use Farrell Road here and there, so that's welcome. Let's see what's next. The bike trail along 355, the tunnel crossings at 167th Street and Bruce Road are both complete. The paving of the bike trail is complete up to 167th Street, and they're working their way north. The base is rolled out and ready for asphalt. On Gauger Road, they're restarting construction. Again, they were held up by the strike. They have a number of things to do on the east side of Gauger between 159th Street and 163rd Street. They have a bike trail going in there, a lot of sewer and retaining walls, and there's a drainage problem I'm hoping they're going to fix toward the north end of that segment on the east side of the street. As I've mentioned before, if anyone has issues with ditches, with roadway patching, with culvert replacements, or sunken concrete, or anything on their street right of way, please contact me after the meeting if you want to talk to me, or you can call our office, and Dave will answer most of the time, right?
Yes.
Tamling Drive is the last item. It's a truck cut through. It's a traffic cut through between Smith Road and Archer Avenue. My staff took traffic counts back in the week of the 12th of July. We found out a number of items that we have to fix out there. The worst of all is the speeding. It's a residential street with 20 houses on it, and we saw cars going up to 60 miles an hour down this street. 60 on a residential street. The volumes were in the hundreds of cars, even though there's 20 residents on the street. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add more speed limit signs, and we're going to put in some speed bumps. Speed bumps are 3 inches in height. They're nasty ones. They're not as bad as in Chicago, but they're enough to slow down the traffic. And we're going to put 5 of them in all the way across the road. And what that's going to do is it's not only going to slow down traffic, but it's going to detain traffic to the point where before someone turns down the street, they're going to see the backup, and I'm hoping that that's going to deter them from using that as a short circuit route. Because the time it takes you to get from that street down to the intersection and turn on Smith from Archer, it's about the same amount of time. So I'm hoping people, a light bulb goes on upstairs and see that the delays are the same going either way. So we're going to be putting up the speed limit signs next week.
Yes.
And the speed bumps aren't in yet, but we're going to put 5 of those in, probably the week after that. And then we're going to wait 2 weeks and we're going to take traffic counts again. And we're going to see how effective these things were. If they worked, the issue is done. If they don't work, we're going to go back to the drawing board, and we have some other options that we're going to run through with the residents and the local agencies. And that's everything.
Hey, Brent, I got a quick question on the speed bumps. Are they temporary speed bumps? And
They are rubber.
Oh, okay, so
They
snow
are
plows,
anchored with spikes into the asphalt. They can be removed.
so snow plows going through this, how does that,
Snow, they have tapered sides on them.
so it
So
goes up
plows
and
will go
up and down, right?
That's first. And secondly, like I said, if they don't work, we'll be removing them and trying something else.
Spikes.
Yeah, they're not gonna move. They're not, you gotta have a loader to get those things out of there. But they are safe for plows. That's the most important thing. And our guys, know that street well enough where they'll know where the speed bumps are. And we are putting up speed bump signs, so that also warns people that they're coming. So there's a couple of things we're telling people that it's right here. We don't want to get sued by anybody. So, anyways, that's everything. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brent. Now we have the assessor report, Carmen Morella.
Hello, everybody. So pending approval, we're going to be going to the Senior Expo, this in combination with the Village of Homer Glen and the library. It's September 10th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we're going to be highlighting some questions for homestead exemptions, anything with senior freezes or senior exemptions, and also any kind of veteran exemptions, to answer any questions out there for some of the seniors that have some questions. We like to do a little more outreach programs to try to give them some education. When we're looking for the information for them to bring in, a lot of questions come up with some of the senior stuff. Do I qualify? Don't I qualify? And we can kind of answer some of those questions for them. So we're going to actually be out there those days and just kind of go through it with anybody that has questions. So please let all the seniors know that we're going to be doing an expo. So that's all I have to report.
Our questions answered, going to be posted somewhere for the seniors that cannot attend this expo?
Yes, it's all on our website.
Oh.
Sure. Yep, absolutely.
We'll stop by.
Yep.
Okay,
Come to the township office.
we got a motion in here, it's in the wrong place, I think. So we're gonna do a motion to approve Homer Township Senior Committee to host a Senior Expo on September 10th, 2022, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Hadley Middle School, 15731 South Bell Road, with a budget of up to $5,000. The money will be needed to cover insurance costs and costs incurred by District 33C janitors and ancillary expenses. So can I get a motion for that?
I'll motion. I'll second.
You got to call the roll?
Mike Panoma?
Yes.
Mark Arlen?
Yes.
Rob Rivera?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now we'll go to the committee reports. Homer Township Senior Committee, Mike Bonomo?
Yeah, I'd like to start off by saying, first of all, we're talking about the Senior Expo. It's an idea that came up a couple months ago, and we've accelerated the process. And what makes me proud is we are combining different entities of the Homer Township, the Homer Glen, and the Homer Township Library. And with the list of names that are part of the committee and the people that are helping out, it's shown that we're working together. And I've always professed that us working together makes the community work better. And this proves it. We're in the process right now of sending out applications to all the different vendors or different businesses in the area that can present our product and services to our seniors. And I expect we're going to get some huge feedback from that. Over the next couple of days, we'll find out which people have put themselves into the process of being one of the vendors. On the second Tuesday of every month, I do senior bingo, which the next one is tomorrow, and we usually get about 75 to 80 seniors that participate. They'll get word tomorrow that there is going to be a senior expo a month around September 10th. I expect them all to participate and spread the word. I expect this to be very successful, especially with the work of everybody putting, a lot of time and effort into this thing. And with all the proceeds coming from the vendors for this event, it's going to go straight to we're going to do a senior Christmas party in December. So there's going to be no profit to be made. All the proceeds are going to go towards another event for the seniors. And again, I'm proud to say everyone that comes, they have a great time. And the Senior Expo is going to be a great thing for our community to show that we care. And that's the whole point of it. Thank you.
Okay, next we have our land use committee. I don't know, we don't have a report, do we, Carmen? And so there's no report for the land use committee. The task force committee for...
I got something quick. It should say truck task force.
Yeah.
The purpose of that committee is to make sure that any local roads that are not rated for trucks are not used. And if you see it happening, call me and tell me immediately. Down at 163rd Street in Lockport, most of 163rd Street between Gauger and Cedar Road is under our jurisdiction. And there's a new subdivision over there by the name of Silo Bend. And they have very heavy construction traffic leaving that site, and we never gave them a driveway access permit because the street is not rated for their vehicles. And I said, well, if you want to use our street, pay up some money. So if there's things we have to do to improve it when you're done, I can do that. Well, they never gave us any money, obviously. They never signed any agreements. And Dave caught them using 163rd Street, was it a couple of weeks ago? So we blocked the entrance. Didn't we block the entrance with a loader?
I did, I pulled my truck in front of it.
Forcing them to take 167th Street. And just be warned that our methods might be archaic, but if we catch people with trucks on our roads that aren't rated for them, it's not going to happen. We're going to do something to stop them, but if residents see this, please contact my office immediately. We want our roads to last a long time. We don't want to spend unnecessary taxpayer dollars fixing them because people are not following the load limit signs.
Gauger Road too, it's getting bad.
And yeah. So just if you see them, let me know. There's an increase in truck traffic, obviously, because we have an interstate that weaves through our township now, and there's a lot of developments going on. So there's developments going on in Lockport and in Homer Glen, more so in Lockport. So we just want to keep an eye on that. That's all I had.
Okay. Rob, do you have any kind of report you want?
Nope.
Mark, how about you?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about the food drive. So I was
Excellent.
proud to announce that the food drive was very successful. We ran it, well, it's the first one while I've been on this board. I'm not sure if the township's ever done one before. But we ran it from the July 25th through yesterday, August 7th, so it's roughly 2 weeks. We collected over 3,000 items, non-perishable items for the Lockport Fish Food Pantry. I'm sure you know who they are. They've been around since the 1980s. They've helped thousands of families. They serve Homer Township and Lockport Township. And the sad part is every week these days, there are about a dozen new families that show up. So the need was great, and we stepped in and helped them. Kathy and Marty Hamilton, I got to know, they're two volunteers at the pantry. They want to just thank everybody. They were overjoyed with the items that we brought to them. But it's all about teamwork, and I want to thank people, Steve, if you don't mind, right? This crossed the township and the village. So I want to thank the board, because when I visited there and they said they're in some dire need, I brought it to Steve Bailey, supervisor of the board, clerk, assessor, everybody was thumbs up, let's get it done. So I got a lot of support in this room. Dave Medina sitting over there was arranged for a free U-Haul truck, which was fantastic. So we were trying to figure out where's the collection point and how do we do this logistically. So that really helped out. Free truck for 2 weeks, and those people there at BI Rental deserve a pat on the back. Social media support was overwhelming. Christina there, Christina Clausen and Angel Shake, with their massive presence on Facebook, and everybody else here in this room and in the village were sharing the Facebook posts. I think that was a huge component of it. The village trustees, all of them pitched in with social media support, and some showed up to actually flex their muscles and unload the truck. Meyer Foods, gotta thank Mike for this one. Mike went over to Meyer Foods, and the manager allowed us to park the truck there in the last 2 days. So last Saturday and Sunday, we picked up about another 500 items that way. And they also donated a $250 gift card, so the pantry can spend it any way they want. So all in all, I think it was very good. Example of true teamwork, like Mike said, when you get the township, the village, and the residents all pulling in the same direction, that's what community collaboration is all about. Right. My brother-in-law, John Walters, deserves the thanks. He was kind of like my right-hand man. Whatever I needed, whenever I was overwhelmed, he was there to help. And I want to say thanks to John. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, John.
Thank you,
All
John.
right. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark, for doing
You're welcome.
that.
Yes, it was a joy.
Okay, we got one item under new business. We would have put the word planning commission, but I just got this yesterday, so we didn't have time to put it on the agenda. It's basically something we passed the trucking portion of this probably 3 months ago. All they want to do is build an office in an existing building, so it's not a big deal. I looked at it, I saw no problem with it, and now I'm looking to see if anybody has a problem with it. I don't think so. Carmen, you know, he looked at it real close, and he said no problem. Brent didn't tell me anything, so you guys didn't say nothing, so I'm assuming that I could send a letter back to the county saying that we have no problem with this.
No objections, no.
So unless I hear something different, which I don't, so then I will be letting the county know this is okay. And then now we have accounting. Motion to approve all payment of bills for July 22nd. Founders Crossing Bond, Founders Crossing General, General Assistance, Open Space, Park Developer Contribution Fund, Town, Road, Bridge, and Equipment and Building. I get a motion for that?
I'll start the motion.
I'll second.
I'll call the roll, please.
Mike Panema,
Yes.
Mark Arlen,
Yes.
Rob Rivera,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes. So with that,
I got one item.
oh, go ahead, Brent.
The road district has expanded our social media presence. We now have a Facebook page called Homer Highway. It's not for political postings or anything like that. We want to stay out of that because it's a government-sponsored website or Facebook page. So if you have any concerns or any applause for our work, or if you have any questions on things that are local to you, or you need help, it's quicker sometimes to put it on the Facebook page, and we'll be sure to respond to it. It also shows pictures on there. I think were put up the last couple days on our ongoing projects. So that's welcome. So Homer Highway, click on it and like it and become a member of the Facebook page. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Brent.
Okay, to get a motion to adjourn.
I'll start the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's adjourned, done. See you guys next